All right, so get this. We're going to dive into something, a strategy that you might not expect. Playing dumb to get ahead.
Oh, interesting.
Like what? But think of it like a power move, but it's in disguise.
I like it already.
So
Okay.
basically, what makes this work so well is that nobody likes to feel like they're the dumbest person in the room.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's a pretty universal feeling.
Right. So to guide us on this journey, we're using Robert Greene's 48 Laws of Power, specifically Law 21.
Oh, okay.
It's called Play a Sucker to Catch a Sucker. Seem dumber than your mark. And I think you might be surprised to learn that sometimes appearing less intelligent can actually help you get what you want.
Yeah, it's kind of like a Trojan horse, right? It's like you're creating this illusion of being harmless, and that allows you to get your foot in the door, so to speak.
Yes.
You lower people's guard down, and then
Yeah.
boom, you strike.
Right.
But it has to be done with, finesse.
Totally.
It's a delicate dance.
For sure. And speaking of clever, have you heard about the Diamond Mine Con?
I don't think so. Fill me in.
Okay, so picture this. It's 1872. London is buzzing with this news about a diamond mine
Okay.
that was supposedly discovered out in the American West. And these two guys, these masterminds, Arnold and Slack,
Okay.
they knew how to play the game, so they pretended to be these like simple, unpolished miners.
Right.
And they understood that appearing unsophisticated would actually make people believe them more.
Interesting.
Right. Because why would you expect these rough around the edges guys to be running some big, elaborate scam?
Right. It's like reverse psychology.
Exactly. They were playing a role.
Yeah.
He even brought in a fake engineer to make it all seem more legitimate.
Wow. They went all out.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't just about selling diamonds.
Right.
They created a story that made people greedy, and it made them feel like they could be part of something big.
Oh, so they really tapped into people's desires.
Oh, yeah. And get this. They even take sacks of uncut gems to Tiffany & Co.
Oh, wow.
in New York.
Okay.
And they left some behind on
Right,
purpose
Wait, they just left them there? Like as a way to kind of
as a way to plant the seed,
seed. Yeah.
to make it seem like, oh, we have so many diamonds, we don't even care if we lose a few.
No, that's clever.
Right. And of course, Tiffany's people, they looked at these diamonds and they thought they were the real deal.
Of course. Yeah.
Right. So with Tiffany's kind of unofficial seal of approval,
Right.
everybody starts talking about this incredible diamond mine.
Word spreads like wildfire.
Wildfire, exactly. So now everyone wants a piece of the pie.
Makes sense. Yeah.
So all these investors, they're blinded by dollar signs.
Right.
And they're not really paying attention to the red flags. And the prospectors just played it up. They acted naive.
Yeah.
And that made the investors feel even more confident.
Like they were getting one over on them.
Yes, exactly. They were so focused on getting rich quick that they missed all the warning signs.
Yeah. It's amazing how they managed to fool some of the smartest people in finance at the time.
I know, it's wild. So anyway, Arnold and Slack, they picked a group of investors to go with them to the supposed diamond mine,
They took them on a field trip.
basically.
Yeah.
And these weren't just any investors. These people knew what they were doing. But the prospectors acted so dumb that it created this smoke screen.
It hid their true intentions.
Exactly. They
Yeah.
were masters of deception, so they all head out west to the diamond fields.
Yeah. Okay.
And wait till you hear this. They bring along the top mining expert in San Francisco, this guy named Louis Janin.
Oh, wow. They brought in the big guns.
They wanted to make it seem as legit as possible.
Right, because if he vouches for it, then
It must be real.
it must be the real deal. Yeah.
Right. Because who's going to question the best in the business?
Exactly.
So Janin, he sees right through their act right away.
Oh, really?
He knows there are no diamonds. It's all fake.
So what did he do?
Well, instead of just outing them right then and there,
Right.
he decided to play along.
Oh, why is that?
Well, he was smart. He knew that if he exposed them, they might get violent.
Oh, that makes sense.
These guys were desperate.
Right, they had a lot to lose.
Exactly. So he pretended to be convinced
Mm-hmm.
by the staged mine. And that just made the investors even more sure that this was the real deal.
Oh, so it backfired on Janin.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was all part of Arnold and Slack's plan.
So did they get away with it?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting.
Okay, so how did they get away?
Okay, so after weeks of pretending to explore the mine, Arnold and Slack, they go back to San Francisco,
Okay.
and they've got this story. They say they need more money, like a lot more money, to actually get the diamonds out.
Oh, so they were basically asking for a second investment
Exactly.
after they already got them hooked with the first one?
Right. They were like, oh, we hit a snag, but it's going to be so worth it. You just got to trust us.
And the investors fell for it.
Hook, line, and sinker. They were blinded by greed, And they believed Jaina.
Right. He was the expert, so they thought it must be legit.
Exactly. So they handed over even more money to Arnold and Slack.
And then what happened?
Poof. They vanished.
They just disappeared.
Gone. Without a trace. The investors never saw them or their money ever again.
Wow. What a story.
It's crazy, right? It's like they weaponize people's intelligence against them.
It's a classic case of underestimation as a tool.
Totally. They knew that if they acted dumb, people would let their guard down.
It's fascinating and a little scary to think about.
I know, right? It makes you wonder how many other people are using this tactic out there.
Probably more than we realize.
I'm sure. So, have you ever heard of Otto von Bismarck?
The Iron Chancellor. Yeah, of course.
Right, so you wouldn't exactly picture him playing dumb, would you?
No, not really. He was known for being a strong, decisive leader. Not exactly someone who would downplay his intelligence.
But that's exactly what he did, and that's why it was so effective.
He was playing the long game.
He was. He knew that sometimes appearing less intelligent, even a little reckless, could give him an advantage over his opponents.
It's like he was playing poker, but with entire nations at stake.
It's a pretty high-stakes game.
Yeah, no kidding.
And Bismarck was a master at manipulating people and situations.
He was a brilliant strategist.
For sure. He carefully crafted this image that hid his true intentions.
So he was basically playing a character.
In a way, yeah.
And it worked.
Oh, yeah, big time. One of the best examples is how he manipulated Austria back in 1866.
Oh, tell me about that.
So Bismarck, he wanted Austria to sign this treaty.
Right?
That would basically give Prussia more power. But he knew that if he just went in there and demanded it, they would never agree.
So what did he do?
He played the fool.
Okay, how so?
He acted all jovial and reckless. He dismissed concerns and acted like the treaty wasn't a big deal.
He wanted them to underestimate him.
Exactly. He wanted the Austrians to think he was harmless, maybe even a little bit incompetent.
That's bold.
It was, but it worked. They walked right into his trap.
They signed the treaty.
They did, and they had no idea what they were really getting themselves into.
Wow, that's incredible.
I know, it just shows you how powerful this strategy can be.
It really makes you think we can be so easily manipulated by appearances.
It's true. Bismarck's story is a reminder that intelligence isn't just about what you know.
Yeah.
It's about how you use it. And sometimes the smartest move is to play the fool.
Exactly. So we've seen how con men like Arnold and Slack used this tactic to cheat people out of their money.
Right.
And we've seen how a brilliant statesman like Bismarck used it to shape the course of history.
But what about us, everyday people? Can we actually use this principle in our own lives?
Of course, think about it. Have you ever been in a situation where appearing too intelligent could backfire?
I guess so.
Like, let's say you're negotiating a salary or trying to convince someone to see your point of view.
Are you saying we should all start pretending to be clueless?
No, it's not about being unintelligent. It's about being strategic.
Okay, so it's like picking and choosing when to show your cards.
Exactly. Sometimes a little bit of humility can go a long way.
I like that. Strategic humility.
Yeah, it's about knowing when to play it cool and when to let your expertise shine.
It's about mastering the art of controlled perception.
Precisely. You're not denying your intelligence. You're just choosing when to reveal it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's like, there's that saying, don't underestimate the power of playing dumb.
Right. But you have to be careful. There's a difference between being strategic and being, deceitful.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This is not about being manipulative or dishonest. It's about understanding how people think and using that knowledge to your advantage.
Right. Ethically, of course.
Of course.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a question to think about.
Okay.
How can you apply these principles of playing the fool in your own life?
Yeah.
Like, have you ever met someone who used this tactic on you and you didn't even realize it?
It's a good question, and it really makes you think about when it might actually be beneficial to downplay your own intelligence.
Right. When is it a smart move, and when could it backfire?
It's all about reading the room,
Totally. It's like a delicate dance. You have to know when to lead and when to follow.
Exactly. And remember, the key is to be intentional and strategic.
Right. It's not about actually being unintelligent.
No, it's about controlling how people perceive you.
It's about choosing your battles, knowing your audience, and playing the game in a way that gets you what you want.
And sometimes the best way to win is to let your opponent think they're in control.
It's like a magic trick. You're creating an illusion.
Exactly.
And in the end, true intelligence is knowing when to show your strengths and when to keep them hidden.
That's a great way to put it.
So that's all for today's deep dive. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, And remember, sometimes the smartest move is the one that nobody sees coming.